I'm doing good. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, it's good to see you, man. Thanks for calling in. Weird one to know how to feel about today. How do you feel about today?
I think there's a better chance of me winning the Rolex or the Cartier Love than me getting consistent results out of the team. So, just another tale of two halves. And I think it was a very much the case of is the glass half full or half empty at this point in time? And for me, it's half full. I think despite like a shocking first half, I really think that these young players that we've signed are really starting to come into their own. You look at Xavi Simons today. Guy like Xavi Simons, Odebear. I thought Tell had a decent cameo with the touches he got. Like these, Archie Gray was tremendous. Like these younger players that we've like slowly signed are starting to develop against a good Man City side. So I think that's definitely a good positive. However, the negative connotations of that are that these players aren't playing for the manager. They're the only reason we come back in the second half is I think the players fearing of online scrutiny and things like that. So I think it's important to note that despite the second half resurgence that we've seen in a few games now, I don't think it's out of manager tactics or preparation, but rather out of ego, not necessarily ego, but more so out of like integrity on behalf of the players.
Yeah, it's when you look at these first halves. Why are we so passive every first half? Why do we always have to wait until we're 2-0 down before we switch on? It happened again in this first half. Do you think he maybe got the setup wrong at the beginning? Keeping with that back three, or is it more about his philosophy or approach that is leading to it?
Yeah, I'm gonna say it's the more philosophy or approach. I haven't had a full time job yet, but I can imagine. Like I just finished a business leadership course in school, and I think it's a really important thing to when you want to inspire a common goal or get a good result from something. I think it's really important to be able to motivate, and I don't think Frank does that. I think as much as you could say that Ange was out of his depth last year with the Europa League successes and the luck per se that we got from that, you can't argue that the guy was a master motivator. He got those players to come out of the games flying. And sure, we may have conceded a bunch of goals, but the onus went on to the players from Ange to go put themselves forward and go make themselves available to go try to win a game. I think the start of these games that we're seeing is Frank's inability to inspire these players and get on board. An example I'll give is I think there was a play when Xavi Simons got fouled in maybe the 20th minute. Romero was up taking on Gahey one-on-one. And there's zero way that that's Frank's instruction. Frank's instruction will be, all right, let's hold our shape. Let's play our 3 or 5 out the back, and let's counter and build our chances against Man City. So I think that's what it comes down to, Sim, is rather than us like the players coming out flat, I think that's all hinders on Frank's lack of motivation and that lack to be like a leader in that sort of aspect.
We at half time, Romero goes off. We're 2-0 down. Everyone's thinking the worst, and we somehow.
I swear to God, I was talking to my friends and we were like all playing PlayStation, like, and we've got this, and I said, "Oh, Romero's gone off," and everyone just started to laugh. Sorry, cut you off, but like, I was head in hands for that.
I think everyone was feeling that way. You weren't the only one. But we seemed to somehow make it work, didn't we? Why do you think it worked better in that second half? We seem to be so much more on top of them. They weren't getting the chances, maybe, especially early parts of the second half that they were in the first. Like, how did we have a back two of Paulinho and Dragoshin and seem to keep them quieter than we did in the first half?
Sam, that's a very good question. It's to me that's the equivalent of asking how are the pyramids built. Like I genuinely don't have an answer for you because it doesn't make sense. You take off our best player in the year, Christian Romero, who I'm glad you said illness because I was worried for a minute. Obviously, that's not good, but still, it's very fixable. But I think it was maybe because of the tactical setup and, again, the players just kind of saying, fuck this, I'm going to go for it sort of attitude where they kind of abolished Frank's tactics. I think that's more of what it was. And just like the aggression and the frustration, I think honestly helped the players grow into the game in the second half. So I think that's more so what it was. But again, I don't have an honest clue for you as to why they improved so much out of Romero's departure. But I think it's more so what I would hypothesize is the players fearing a toxic atmosphere, the players fear being scrutinized. So they're just going to say, like, let's go and just try to inspire with some leadership on the field. Again,
Who
not as a derivative from the manager's influence.
who really shone in that second half for you?
Oh, Xavi Simons, mate. Unbelievable. I've gotten so much stick. All my buddies are Liverpool fans, and they always talk to me about Florian Wirtz, who's similar kind of stories that came in the summer, both young tens from the Bundesliga, similar builds and stats. But they always talk to me about, oh, Wirtz is improving every game, and Simons is not doing anything. But I'm telling, they actually all watched that game today, and you can see the parallels between those two players finally starting to grab a hold of the tempo of the Premier League. It really is a thing, and it's taken them a while to acclimatize to the league. But when you looked at Xavi's directness and his ability, when he first got here, I think back to like that Rabona pass he had at Ellen Road. Like he had a few shockers, a few head scratching moments where I was like, "What is this guy doing?" But I think now you look at his confidence is exponentially improved, and his directness and willing to drive and progress. I think he's only improving. Archie Gray, fantastic in that second half. Anytime the ball came to work, I felt that he was always on it. He would always put in tackles. But I think aside from Solanke, I think my man of the match today is going to be Conor Gallagher. I think Gallagher embodies everything of what the today is to do mindset is. He's always pressing, always running, winning tackles, putting his body on the line, diving in front of the ball to try to prevent corners. I love players like that so much. And even if they're not the kind of guy who's going to go out there and score a screamer from 30 yards out or have some like jaw-dropping turns like Busquets or Iniesta, it's guys like that who just give effort. Guys like him, Sarr, and I'm not going to even include Bentancur because Bentancur is too poor on the ball at this stage in time for me to say that. But I think it's those players I think shine the best for me. And I think moving forward, if you want to make a culture, we've got to assimilate the culture of negativity and lack of form in the Premier League. And we got to build towards something where the fans can get behind energy, passion, and aggression. You look at Xavi Simons after the game of Frankfurt, hyping the fans up in the away end, all those fans who spent hard-earned money away for a cold trip to Frankfurt. Again, I haven't been to a game, but I can tell you that surely is pretty expensive to get out there on a weekday, taking time off work, So I think that's more so what it is, right? We got to build a culture. Franco always talks about it, but again, no one believes in him. I think it's not really his doing, but I think it's a culture amongst the players to generate more positivity as we move forward.
What did you think of Conor Muani's performance?
He can go fuck back off to PSG for all I care. And I mean, I know that's a bit harsh, but the guy's a ghost, man. He just does not impact the game in the way the Kolo Muani of Frankfurt or even Juventus. I had the pleasure of actually going to Juventus for a Canada-themed like a football trip where I was fortunate enough to meet the squad, get to see like the Juventus training ground and stuff. So I actually got a chance to speak to Kolo Muani. Doesn't speak English, but speak enough like French to get by. So I was like, I asked him, I'm like, how do you like impact the game and stuff? Because obviously I'm just curious. And he told me that he loves to get on the ball as a striker, but I don't feel like we see that very much in French system. I think a guy like Solanke benefits a lot more, where it's more of like process from Poro or service into the middle for first time finishes rather than more of like a Dembele or Kolo Muani-esque type number 9. So I think if we are going to proceed with a new number 9, I think in the summer we've got to bring in a guy who's molded more like Solanke and less like Muani. And again, I don't have anything against Muani. Obviously, when I got that opportunity, he's a very nice guy and he works really hard. But again, I just feel like he just doesn't really impact the game. And I think his loan should be terminated for me.
Wow. So in terms of today, where does it leave Frank? Has anything changed for you in terms of the result, in terms of how you feel about Frank and the job he's doing?
Nothing's really changed him. And I know that's maybe not the best lens to look at it from, but the most optimistic per se. But I think it's more of the players generating their chances by themselves and the culture and unity that the team is building interpersonally within the squad. rather than the manager's influence. It's kind of like having a friend group in school where you guys would always just kind of laugh and throw jokes, but the teacher would try to get you guys to focus on the lesson, but you never really would care. So I think it's more so kind of like that, where they're kind of ignoring the principles that are being taught to them, but still growing in unity, and like even like the culture of the team is just growing, and you can see that on the field in the second half comebacks. But again, nothing's really changed for me on Frank. I think he is. I've been watching Tottenham since 2020, and he's by a mile the worst coach that I've seen at this club. Again, I think he's got to go, and I think that'll be inevitable. But the board are so cowardly, and I think that's what the problem really lies. The essence of the problem is with the board and Lange. Between Lange and the board, that's where the problem really lies for me. I think Frank has been, again, he's had time to prove himself as a coach, but the amount of injuries he's had has definitely not helped him. I don't think it's saying that he is a bad coach, but rather it's just not really the proper fit. And I think that either a Xabi Alonso, Xavi Hernandez, or Mauricio Pochettino in the summer, or even sooner, maybe if we could get them to come in, is definitely the most ideal option for me. But real quick, I just want to talk about the board. And I understand people not wanting to leave the ground today in the 75th minute because of the way the team was playing and they were coming back. But this board is nothing short of a disgrace. That stadium brings in the most revenue out of any team in the league. We have the lowest wage turnover out of any team in the league. You look around the board, like the boards, the advertisement on TV. Zach Bryan's coming. We got 50 Cent's coming. The UFC, NFL football, like all these events, the money-making revenue streams from that stadium are exponential. But yet, it's almost like the club is like below that. It's like, all right, we are greedy, and we're going to take the money here. We're going to take advantage of all the people who spend money and spend money on hospitality, jerseys, uniforms, trips, tickets, all that, and that's going to go in our pocket. And then the club's kind of here where, okay, if it gets really bad, well, I guess we'll do something to save the club. But again, it's definitely not at the forefront of their philosophy or ideology. So that's where I really stand right now, Sim. And I'm sure you guys can agree. It's nothing short of disgraceful.
Absolutely. This window has been horrible, hasn't it? And
it's been shocking. It's the fact that they didn't do something for Ademola Lookman, or the fact that they didn't do something for when crying out for attackers. It makes no sense. Like, I understand the £100 million injection came in October. We had an alleged $150 million to spend in January. And we have signed Conor Gallagher, who I really do like, and an injury-ridden left back from Santos, who's 19 years old. I just don't understand. But at least we tried to sign Semenyo. Like,
at least we tried, yeah, exactly. At least we tried. We showed ambition by trying.
Right?
We showed ambition
we
by trying.
We gave it, we tried really hard, but at the end of the day, we just couldn't get it over the line. It's nothing short of embarrassing, and Lange has got to be the first to go, I think, for me. Like, between Lange and Paratici's mind is already in Italy. It has been before the window even opened. But Lange, he was there when Villa were at their worst. Look at Villa from 4 years ago and look at Villa now. And that's all in the time. Onana, Tielemans, Boubacar Kamara, these guys all came into Villa after he left. The players that he brought in, like Rashford, that loan he had, that has now brought him towards Barcelona. Like the players he brought in like Moussa Diaby, he brought in nobody. And now we've got him. So like, I don't know, Sam. Like, Frank's going to be here to the end of the year, whether we as fans like that or not. That's just the case that it's going to be. But I think the essence of the problem lies between the board for me.
Big up to you, mate. Thanks for calling in. Nice to speak to you.
Of course, guys. It's an honor to be on here, and I am grateful to be able to talk to you guys and be a part of the community and on the show. And I think just as fans, we've got to stick together right now, even through the hard times. Good days are coming, and we've got to understand that with a young team and the proper manager, that we will be a Premier League powerhouse in the next 5 to 6 years at the absolute maximum. So big up to everybody in the chat. Big up to everybody in the Zoom call. Guys, thank you very much for allowing me to come on and come on you Spurs as always. Guys, take care.